Hey, Alli, how are you doing? I know you've had a death in the family, and how are you handling that?
Yes, we have, and grief is something that affects us all at some point in our lives. We lost my mother-in-law recently, and we're also, if we live long enough, going to lose parents, children, sometimes, unfortunately, spouses, partners. And our guest today is living in that first year of grief after loss of her husband. And our guest is Cindy Gibson. She is in her 50th year of teaching, and she's taught all ages from kindergarten, pre-K to higher ed. She has three grown children, three grandchildren, and one grandchild on the way. She's 71 years young, and she's going to help us learn more about how to deal with this grief that we're all going to experience.
Cindy is a wealth of knowledge. She is a return guest. She was with us for episode 90, and it's really a great episode to listen to because grief is going to touch us all. Before we dive in, let's give a shout out to our listener, Linda Ford. Now let's dive in.
Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, where we dive deep into pressing health and fitness issues facing aging women. I'm Alli Kerr.
And I'm Shawna Kaminski. And together we'll bring candid conversations, expert advice, and personal stories that will inspire and empower you on your own wellness journey.
We are thankful to have Miss Cindy Gibson back with us on the show to talk about a different topic, a very different topic. And this is how life can change and how things can go very differently. And we're going to jump into what has changed in Cindy's life since we last spoke with you, Cindy. So if you could just start out by telling us what's changed, and you've had some big life-altering events. So let's start there.
So, the name of this show can be The Best Laid Plans. They fall apart because the last time we were talking about goal setting for really all ages, but I'm going to be 71 in 3 weeks. So that is my age bracket that I want to talk about, and I want to be clear that there's no such thing as standing still. You're either moving forward or you're falling back. So don't stand still. Set goals that keep you propelled toward your dreams. And yes, you should have dreams in your 70s. If you're stuck here in this world, you should have dreams that require goals. So, the big thing is my husband died quite unexpectedly. And so unexpectedly that I was in Italy and did not have a chance to get home because he did not expect to die. None of us expected that. So that added another layer to the grief, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. And so that is the big thing. But my whole family is traumatized by those last days. So everyone is affected. So our whole family dynamic is different and bashed and requiring healing.
And Cindy, can you tell us time frame? Because we're recording this right now in the early June. Mm-hmm. So when were you in Italy, and when did this happen?
Okay, so this was last summer. On June 30th, I left to go to Italy to return on July 13th. Before we went to Italy, we went to see my son for Father's Day. We had a great time. Then we came home a few days because somebody has to work, and that somebody cannot be me. So then we went to see my daughter and my grandchild in Hilton Head. My husband was throwing a baby around in a pool, bike riding, chasing a 5-year-old, 4-year-old he was then, and all was well. And then we came home to get ready for me to go to Italy. And 2 days after we got home, he had flu symptoms. So we got medicine for that. And the next day he was actually better and he worked in the yard. So, but then the day after that, he said, well, I think I overdid it. I'm just really, really tired today. So we didn't do much, but he works from home as a CPA. So, and he knows how to pace himself and give him, so that's what he was doing. But in the night, he said, I just cannot get comfortable. And so we went to the emergency room, and so he went from what he has is treatable, and he'll be in the hospital in a few days. And he was told, you're going to walk tomorrow and you'll be back at work in 2 weeks. Meantime, he sent me to Italy and he told me to stay. He'll be at home before I am. So, but he was told he would walk the next day and be at work in 2 weeks. He went from that to dead without any explanation or preparation. And so that was just a whirlwind. And when I wanted to come home, he died 2 days before we would be home anyway. Everybody was trying to help me. But when you're in the sticks of Italy, Acque Terme, northern Italy, it's a 4-hour train ride with a train change. Then you have to be in Milan 3 hours early. And then it's a 9-hour flight home. It's 10 hours out there, but 9 hours back. And then you have to do customs and whatever, Atlanta, and then get back. So I had all that time to get through with some friends, but lots of strangers, to come home to chaos. So, but we made it. I guess that's what we need to know, is that we did make it, and it's just changed the whole trajectory of life here. It's really takes you off balance.
First of all, Cindy, I'm so sorry for your loss. I know words are not much, but it's all we can offer at this point. And we do appreciate you sharing this, because this is important information. Maybe before we talk about what your life is like now, could you just share a little bit about the life that you built together and maybe what you had planned for the future?
So we've been married 45 years, and actually our whole meeting was a God wink. I moved to Macon, Georgia, which is just a little town in the middle of Georgia. I moved to Macon, Georgia on Saturday to start my job on Monday, but I went to church on Sunday and I met my future husband. So, and he had come to Macon from Augusta, Georgia, for his first job, but he came in January. And so that's how it all started. And next year will be my 50th year in education, and I will have taught everything from pre-K through higher education. And he was a CPA. He did 49 tax seasons. He's much loved. Many of his clients cried because they have never had a CPA except Jamie. And I haven't. We have 3 children. We married in 80. We had a child in 83, 86, and 89. 2 girls and a boy. And they're all launched. So as I tell it, we love being little old people. He's the type, he would never retire. But when you work for yourself, you have that option. But we set aside time, and like I work a little part-time job now that I love, And we set aside time to just do what I call tooling around. You have to go to the grocery store. You have to take the dog to the vet. And we just love that. And go in and grab a little lunch. Go grab a little supper. 4 years ago, we started working on a pool. So we had the landscaping doing very, very well. And this was going to be the year that we were going to renovate inside. That did not happen because I like that Melanie on Facebook. We do not care. I have been in We Do Not Care. So, but the pool and the outside is beautiful and the deck. And we love playing cribbage on our deck and just enjoying family and friends and just enjoying life in general. And then 2 children lived out of state. So we have them to visit, and one lives in Macon. So we go to all of our grandchildren's activities. We have now 3 grandsons, but we have a granddaughter coming in September. So we had, I guess, though not wealthy, but we have the American dream. Our house is very much our house, and we have met I guess that's it. We met our goals. Our goals and dreams were together, and we achieved them, but we had more to do. And, but that is what brings you satisfaction with life, is to be able to plan something and see it happen and see your dreams come true. And that's kind of where we were. And just no clue that one thing would lead to another, and that there's no explanation for how he died. Just no clue.
And Cindy, one of the reasons that we wanted to do this episode is because what you're living through right now is something that we're all, at some point, if we have a spouse or a partner, one of us, unless we just happen to die at the same exact time, which is very rare, we are going to experience loss of a spouse or partner, or vice versa, or they're going to experience our loss. But so we're all going to go through what you're living through, and you're in that first year, almost a year. We're in the month of when this was a year ago. So I really wanted to talk to you in this time frame, because going through that first year, and then there's going to be the second year is going to be different than the first, and we can't speak to those yet because this is where the journey is right now. And so thank you for being willing to come on when this is so new, so raw, so there's still so many unanswered questions, and there will, I'm sure, continue to be. Can you share with us about this first year thus far, and what has maybe surprised you the most, that maybe nobody could have prepared you for, or lessons learned that nobody could have prepared you for?
So to begin with, a lot of times we hear that first year is the hardest. And it's because you've got all the firsts. And so, yes, it's been hard because of the first, and because Jamie was our rock. And by day, he's Mr. Straight Man, the money man. But by night, he's our funny man. So, he tells Kirby Smart how to coach. And we're just dying laughing. So, he's so missed. And this is his house. You see him everywhere. So, and then his clients came to this house. So, all of those things, it's just a hole in the world. And you learn to, my words, you have to learn that joy and sorrow can live in the same house in the same room at the same time and get along together. And while I say that, though, you have to do what you have to do. You know, I'm not giving any advice because what I go through, my advice might not be any good for what somebody else. But just saying, people do love you. You can't live in this world and not have somebody that loves you. And if you've been part of a group, you've got that family in that group. And I've got several families going on besides my biological. People do love you. But if you don't communicate what you need, then they don't know how to help. And they don't want to get in your way or intrude. So that's one thing I found, and I almost tried to do normal too soon. And I realize that now. But it is good advice to keep everything as normal and routine as you can when you're working through a crisis. And there's just not a formula for it. You just, every day is a new day. And I might be rambling off the question. We're talking about where are we today and what have we learned and been surprised by. So I've done a lot of reading because at 70, you know that there's good advice in podcasts. There's good advice on Facebook. I'm in some groups on Facebook. They are in groups like that. It's so non-judgmental. You share what you want to share as much as you're comfortable. And it's just very comfortable. And you find your kindred spirits that way. I, of course, have friends who are widowed. One of those friends is 11 years younger than I am, and she was widowed at 55. Still had a child at home. And now she's written a book, and she's a counselor. So, of course, so these people, we were already friends, so of course I knew I could count on her. And anything I need to say, no matter how crazy it is, when you're in grief, you may say something 1 minute and the next minute it's like, why did I say that? I don't really think that. Well, you need people that'll just let you do and get it off your chest, but don't take it as an absolute. And remember, you said so and so. Might have said it, but I don't agree with it now, so I'm gonna change my mind. And that's your friends, that they'll just kind of let you be you, and you need to let them be them, because they might be grieving too if they were close. So I won't say I was surprised by how people want to help you and want you to, they just know there are no answers. It's hard. It's just going to be hard, and we got to do hard. But other people, they said the first time this has happened. So I've read statistics in these books, and it's 83% of women outlive their husbands by 13 years. I think that is right. That's close to it. So when you think about that, it's like, yes, we were happy. We thought we had, I guess, forever. Our parents are long life. Both of his lived to be 96. And mine was 89. We thought we had forever. And then that just changed. There are just no answers. You don't understand how this can happen. But it does happen. Death is part of life. And for example, when I was in Italy, and y'all can tell me if I'm rambling too much. When I was in Italy, one of the people that I became closest to is a person who lives in Jackson, Georgia, and her husband had died the year before. And she was with me when I got the glorious news. So when you're with people like that, they know how to relate instinctively. They just know. And so we are just travel buddies, close friends, because of that trust and bond that came from the great joy of being in Italy. And I was playing piano, she was playing harp, but then also the sorrow of losing our mates. So those are surprises. And when I talk to people, I say God sends angels. Well, that's one of the angels. So when I say, God, nothing is too hard for you. Why was I in Italy? Then I just have to say I'm not the sovereign. The sovereign can say because I said so. But why was I in Italy? I wasn't going to meet her any other way. And now we are just close friends. And now I take harp. The harp teacher that I met in Italy lives 17 minutes from me and teaches at Mercer.
It's so wonderful that you really have made lemonade out of this lemon, in that you've seen the blessings that have emerged from what others might, and on some days for you, it's a tragedy, probably most days, but you've picked out the silver lining. So the other thing that I'm listening and hearing from you is that there's no one way to do grief. Everybody has to do it their own way. And that it's important for the grieving person to communicate what they need. Because as for someone that reaches out to a grieving person, everyone says, what can I do? Because nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows what to say. But the friend, the family member will ask. You might not be able to tell us anything, but is it important for us to just keep asking, or just do something, bring over lunch or cut the lawn? Or what would you suggest for the people that are on the outside of the person that's lost someone?
I know for me, and these are our connection to the Pink Physique. They just called me. They had told me they would do anything for me, anything I needed. And they said, we'll do your yard. We'll do anything you need. Well, I needed my yard cut back. It was just so overgrown. And so I just asked them. Well, so then they showed up. They did way more in the yard than I was asking or imagining. And one of my friends brought her grown son. I mean, he wanted to. He said, sure. And then Pink Physique people. And they did me a little garden. We had all this flagstone left from the pool, and we wanted it in a certain area. Well, that is a lot of work. And they did that. I didn't expect that. I expected them to cut the grass and trim the hedge, which that's a lot of work. But they just did way more. And they were just kind of going on, well, how long did they have that they could spend? And they'll do all they can do. It's beautiful. And the funny thing is, I did it in September. I didn't need another thing until springtime. So that's the long lasting. So I have to say, do ask, do keep offering. But what really helped me, if you ask me what I need, I don't know what I need. But if you say, we could do this, that, the other, then it's like, oh yes, reality is. And that helped me when people said, well, would you like me to do so and so or such and such? Can I pick you up to go? So that's what I would say. I offer, but then suggest, something. It might help the little grieving person who is like, all I want is Jamie. If you can't do that, then thank you, but that's all I want.
Yeah, so that's very good advice to say, what can I do? But then offer, may I mow your lawn? Could I take you to church? I'm buying groceries. What can I pick up for you? Because I can imagine that in some ways you've lost your mind. You have no idea what you need. And then there is the reality that, oh, there's a lot of loose ends that have to get tied up. Maybe someone could help with that. Or just I'm coming to do your laundry. Practical things as well.
Oh, very practical things. And always, this is just from me to all people who reach out. Even if the person says, thank you, I think I'm fine for now, I'm not going to forget that you offered to do something for me. And then if I do need that, I know who to call. And that's one thing we have to learn in crisis. And of course, I'm old, so I have learned it. I've had crises before, but we've got to learn to let people help us. And that's just very important. You don't know how they're grieving as well. I mean, all these people knew him, and they were just as shocked as I am. So it's really doing it. It's good for the giver as well as for the person who receives it. It's all a community. It's all an act of love and care for our friends and family.
We're going to interrupt this interview for just a second because we've got something we want to make sure that you know.
If you're struggling with your health, with your fitness, if you don't know where to start or you know what to do and you're not doing it, we're here for you.
And all you need to do to get our help is to reach out to Shawna and I at our email, sapodcast23@gmail.com. And we're happy to help and we will be in touch. Now back to the show.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is being specific when you're making an offer, if you're on the side of wanting to help, and then sometimes maybe even not that you want to intrude, but maybe just showing up even if the person doesn't know what they need, or just letting them know that you're there. And we can't take credit. I want to say we have amazing ladies at Pink Physique, and we I don't want us to take credit for that, because that's our ladies, and that is them, like Tony and some of those ladies I know that would just show up. I was keeping them up to date on what information I had in contact, but that's just our amazing ladies just doing that, just deciding that they're gonna that they care and that they want to show up and that they want to help. And I do think that that's something that a lot of times we may not know what to do. And so we do just ask. But maybe one of the lessons is that when someone is grieving, they really might not even know what they need. Because like you said, what you needed was you wanted your husband back. And, you're not going to say when you want your husband back, I want my yard. You're not going to think, your brain is not going to be thinking that you need help just getting through the day to day. You need help with life. Just that extra support and lift over here can be it can be an act of love and support, and it can also be something that just helps take a little load when you are carrying such a load. And I know that you are, and I want to get into that load that you have, because one of the things that comes with grief, especially, and there's different types of, but sometimes people know that the person is going to pass, they're going to die, or maybe they're in bad shape and they've been told that, things are not looking good and that they have days left, weeks left. And then sometimes it's a surprise, like in your situation. But I don't know that we can ever truly be prepared for death and loss, maybe somewhat. But I want to talk about some of those things, that pieces you've had to pick up that maybe you were not expecting, and what maybe there's some lessons in there for us.
Well, of course, I'm a year out, and what we know just from being old is the body is designed to heal and to be healthy. We are wonderfully made. Well, so is our mind. We are designed to take whatever this world throws at us and heal. I don't know. This is Macon, Georgia, and every day there's some little mama whose child was shot last night. I don't know how you find your faith through there. I don't know. But I know through this is not, we don't expect our children to be killed. But we do realize that, like you were saying, I mean, as one of my friends says, and they got married at St. Paul's and they've gone to the same church their whole married life. And her husband died shortly before mine. She said, well, we knew the day we married, either I was going to bury him or he's going to bury me. So it's not that you're ever ready, but it is a part of this life that, you know, you can't live your life. You steal the joy from your life if you live your life around the what ifs and when and all that. You can't live your life like that. But when it happens, and it's okay to wallow a little bit because even that's healing. But you think beyond it. It's happened. Okay, so now what? And remember that I've got a whole family hurting, a whole extended family hurting. So, so back to the question of what are the pieces that I had to pick up. And it's, of course, I'm a year out and I have a wonderful support systems. But what I have to say is some people are going to show up for you and some people might not. But always show up for yourself. Get out there and let somebody help you. And I've taken on the new things, which that's one of the recommendations also is, all right, I play harp. I don't associate Jamie with the harp. He would have loved it. But that's a new thing that I'm learning. And I love it because it's like exercising. You cannot it takes your whole brain. You cannot practice and be worried about anything else. And it's just healthy. So those are the pieces that I've had to realize that you know, I don't have a choice. I'm the matriarch of my family. And I must lead. Ready or not, I must lead. And I just have to pull by the bootstraps, use every bit of faith I have, and we move forward. And my children are in this same, they think just like that. They might not use exactly those words, but they have come through trauma. And they've got to reclaim their lives. And they've got to figure out, who am I without Daddy? I have to say, well, who am I without Jamie? Ask the question, but then work on the answer.
It sounds like you've leaned into your faith a fair bit. It was likely a big part of your life prior to this, but maybe even more so now. Is it your faith that's helped you get through those hard days when just getting out of bed was difficult? Is there any specific habits that you might recommend to someone, especially that person that doesn't have a strong faith, in terms of like what kept you moving?
Oh, okay. Well, it is a background in faith. I was a music director for the same church for 27 years. And then the church where my husband and I went is very, very inclusive. And so since he's died, I've gone to enough groups to meet other widowed women where I'm very welcome and where we all just help each other and support each other, and where you see, well, this is the crisis. And as one lady said, you can grieve now or you can grieve later. It's best to do it now. And but we're just about out of crisis and on to a new normal for us, because a year's time, we've done a lot of work. And so, yes, it's absolutely my faith, but it's having my my groups, that my church, but my other groups. I go exercise. It's not all about the exercise. It's about the people. And I call that showing up for me. I'm going through something right now. Yeah, now they say I need a hip replacement. Okay, it's very painful. It's just a hip, but it's extremely painful. And so now I'm getting ready to plan that surgery. But this has been going on since Jamie died. Well, I really didn't need this pain along with all of the emotional pain. But I'm just about ready. I'm going to be done with the hip pain. Mm-hmm. So finally coming to a point of decision and doing everything insurance requires and all that. That's a journey. But I'm feeling better, even though I haven't had this surgery. And I do exercise, and they do encourage me to exercise as I can. Now that we know what it is, we know how not to make it worse and how not to hurt it. So, and I do that because after I get through this surgery, I don't want to be back at square zero, like for not exercising for however many weeks. So, and that's just one of my little facets of going to one of my families. And everybody's going through something. And that's what it brings. It really brings that home too. And sometimes people won't tell you, they don't tell you stuff until they know you're going through something where their story might be a comfort to you, might give you a little bit of clarity about where you're headed. And that has been helpful to me as well.
Well, one thing that I was thinking of when I was thinking about picking up the pieces, that I just want to say that has impressed me so much about you, Cindy, is your husband had his own business and he died unexpectedly, and that all fell into your lap. And you have, aside from dealing with the grief of losing your husband and being the matriarch of the family and taking on that leadership role, you also took on, I've got to handle this business and handle these clients and make sure that they're taken care of. Like, holy moly, woman, like, you really are a superwoman.
And thank you for bringing that up, because I told you about my friend that wrote a book on her grief. Okay, so I told her when she writes her next book, I'll write a chapter and it's going to say, I do my crying on Thursdays. And that's because that's the day I picked to check his voicemail, email, and messages, because people would be reaching out to him for their work or for an appointment. And so I had to relive it every time I had to call or email and explain that he passed away suddenly. So one day that's going to be a beautiful story, because my grandson, who's a senior, was to inherit Jamie's business. But he's not certified because he's still in college. So he missed it by a year. But because I had him, we were able to get all of his clients transitioned. And I picked up, say, paying for his electronic files so that nothing got lost, and we would still have copies for the next CPA, anything that they needed. So, and one of the clients, when she selected her CPA, and she's one that cried, came to my house crying because she's never had a CPA but Jamie. Jamie was the CPA when her parents had the business. So when she selected another CPA, and the CPA would ask her questions, she would say, I don't know. Ask Chase. Jamie did it. Well, Chase, my grandson, was very helpful. And that CPA hired him part-time. So that led to when I talk to people, and they ask, were we selling the business or would be somebody stepping up to do their work? I told them who we were going with. And a number of his clients transitioned to that same firm just on my recommendation and the fact that they hired the grandson who had been helping Jamie. So one day that will be a beautiful story. And today is a day of clarity because we're through with tax season. But going through that and getting them their records and talking them through the deadlines, I mean, that's another level of grief. But another thing you learn, and I learned this from my friend who was widowed at 55, it's not always the thing that's really bothering you. It's what are you telling yourself about the thing. So you flip what you're thinking. If it's in your control, you flip what you're thinking. So I flip that to say, thank you, Jamie. You're telling me you had no plans to leave me. He's a numbers man. So every password went with him. He didn't write things like that down. If he had known he was in danger, he would have had a plan and we would not have gone through all we went through. So I flipped that. That is one of my proofs. He did not know. It's not like he knew and didn't tell me. He didn't know. That makes it palatable to me that this I'm not doing because of Jamie. I'm doing this for Jamie. This is his legacy. So, yes, that is true. Not everybody has to close a business. Now, what he did that was so good is he moved his business home in 2008. So, that's a great blessing because if I'd had to go clean out an office, say because they're ready to rent it to somebody else, that I think that kind of a deadline would have pushed me into a mental breakdown of sorts because nobody can do it but me. Another CPA cannot come see somebody else's work without their express permission. So nobody can do it but me. But it's done now. So now we're closing up shop. We're getting ready for the shredder. And it's another way of saying job well done.
I think it's important, the message that you're giving here is that, again, you're looking for that silver lining. And I'm sure there were hard days to find that silver lining. And did you find any comfort in helping Jamie's clients in that? Because I know that when just as a personal aside, when I'm having a hard time, if I know that in the midst of my hard time that I've been able to help someone else, that lifts me up. Did that help you at all? Because it would have been a monumental task to be dealing with your own grief, but then it's, the grief of the clients, but then the trouble of like they have tax burdens and deadlines. And
Exactly.
did it help you to help them?
It absolutely did. And they helped me because they have trusted Jamie with their whole lives and their whole livelihood. And now they need guidance. But they helped me as well, just with it. I mean, it brought me peace how much they loved and admired him and stayed with him. I mean, he's 49 tax seasons, and I met so many people that said, oh, he's been taking care of me for 34 years. I mean, really. So it was a great blessing to me to have these people. And one of his clients came by on a Friday afternoon, and I thought she was at the wrong house. And I was sitting on the porch playing with one of the grandchildren, and she got out and said, are you Cindy? And, that was after I said, I think you're at the wrong house, but how can I help you? And she said, well, are you Cindy? And I said, yes. Well, she was bringing this huge rose bush because we have rose bushes in front of our porch where we were sitting. And she brought a card that she made, and it's Jamie sitting on our porch. She had admired the roses. He has a green thumb. He tended the roses. And she said, let me get your picture. And that was 2024 that she happened to get the picture because she's a gardener and she thought it was just so beautiful. So she brought me that card and she brought me a rose bush. And she said he did her mama's and hers. And so it was just, it was just widespread. And her husband died last year, and she's a young woman. So we just understood each other.
Is there any advice you would give to couples now? There's no preparing, but what conversations should couples be having while everybody's well?
Well, it is not morbid to talk about, well, what do you want to happen to you when you die? Because we had talked. Now, he also had it in our will, but because we had talked, I knew he wanted to be cremated. And I knew I knew what music he likes, because I know when I play piano, I know what he sings. And this one song, I'm telling you, by day, he is money man. By night, he's funny man. He'll come in and dance like a ballerina to this one hymn that I play. So I knew what to do to celebrate him. And it's from living together, but also from talking. So as it happened, we had just come back from the grandchild who was 4 then. So we went shopping together, and they got shoes alike. Well, they're called Granddaddy shoes because Granddaddy had them first. But we bought him some. They're just like it. So, and then we had pictures of them wearing their shoes. So then we come home, and then just a little while later, Granddaddy dies. So his mom and daddy wanted to teach him he's asleep with Jesus. So even though Jamie wanted to be cremated, it's hard to teach a child asleep, because what they think is asleep, they got to see the person. So I know my Jamie, he would say, I'm not going to be there. Y'all do whatever you want to do. So we did have Jamie for visitation, and a picture of them together in their shoes side by side, so that we could teach that. But it's only because we made the plans. I knew what he wanted, but I know what he's going to say about anything that we can so you need to have those conversations. And lesson from me, and I have another dear friend, widowed right before me. She was only 65, but her husband was sick a long time. And she says it's no, you have the morning before the death. She says it's no better, it's just different. So, but what she did have is a book with all the passwords and all the what everybody needs to know. So, and I know you can get those books. Nobody has to be, and you can get those books. And when I went to the financial planner, he gave me one. And I'm working on that now because I can save my children from going through this. So that's my advice. Have the honest conversations. Be silly about it, like when he dances like a ballerina. That's really funny. And but have the conversations so that the person that's left truly feels like they honored you. It doesn't matter to Jamie what we did, but I'm stuck here. It matters to me. Did we honor him appropriately? Yeah. And then writing down. We never talked about that. We just never. And I wish we had. It would have made things a lot easier.
Yeah, that was one thing I did when my mom passed, is I didn't want the same for my children. She was quite good about banking and that sort of thing, but I've written everything down so it's not a wild goose chase, so that it's a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a valuable lesson, but I do think the conversation is really important to have. So that, yes, and most people probably don't really care once they're gone. Like the funerals, the memorials are for the living.
Right. And that's what he would have said. I'm not going to be there. I don't care what y'all do. But we do care, and we miss him. We love him. He's such a legacy to us. You know, just from me, and we're talking about how we accept changes we didn't want. He was big on the teaching that our sole purpose in life is to glorify God. And you glorify God in different ways. So, and he did that.
And I think you answered the question of what this experience has taught you about love just now. I wonder what it's taught you about living fully. What has this experience taught you about living fully, Cindy?
And I'm not really there yet, but I've got to get over. I'm going to have to lay down some burdens. Like going to Italy was supposed to be one and done, because then we were going to travel the United States and drive so we could see things and enjoy things. And that didn't happen. So living fully means what do I do now? I'm so thankful that I have my groups. I have the Pink Physique. I have my preschool job. I teach piano. I have my church. I have my Women's Service League. I'm so glad I have those groups, because that's what pulls you through, is you're continuing to participate and show up. And those are people who are going to show up for you in crisis. But I've got to get over the guilt of Italy. And I've got to just realize I had a life, but he's gone, and I've got to rebuild. And I may be looking for something I can't have again, but that doesn't mean there can't be joy.
Yeah, and maybe is it difficult to reorient yourself to accept that, hey, it's going to be different, and be okay with that.
Right.
That might be
That's where that's where we go. Is it's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
And this is just today. And today is not forever.
Yeah.
But I have to do my part. And I, like today I'm happy. But I've got a grandchild coming to see me and a grandchild going to be born in September. I'm not happy like that. And a grandchild that just got a great honor. I'm not happy like that all the time. But I'm joyous. And joy will find joy. And that's just, I hang on white knuckles some days.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the key, is the circumstance might not be joyful, but you still can be a joyful person. You can be finding joy in a hot cup of coffee or the sunshine, even on the day that you had difficulty getting out of bed. It's not necessarily a circumstance, it's a state of being, this is what I'm getting from you.
right.
Yeah.
And I do keep saying that. I mean, yes, it's in me. I mean, I have the background of faith. I have 45 years with a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And I have 3 children. I have all the support, but you have to show up for yourself. So we hadn't really talked about how grief doesn't bring out the best in everybody. And sometimes you need to back away a little bit from people. That's Ernie Palmer. You have to back away a little bit because you love them, but right now it's just you need to back away. And I did find that to be true because I've got to protect myself, I guess you'd say. So you need people that feed you healthiness. So, I mean, here's an example. All right, my model is my mother. She was widowed for the second time at 54. She had 6 children in all, but at 54, she had buried 2 husbands and 2 children. And she's a beautiful story. And she died at 89 and was totally independent until 6 months before she died. She's a hoot, most people would say. All right, but so she's my model of what you do when you didn't get what you wanted and dreamed of. So when I get around a certain friend who seems like she's needs to remind me what I have lost, and I really want to say, if you think I'm going to forget that I have lost unconditional love, let me just say I won't unless I have dementia. So quit talking like that. But so she's a person I take in small doses because she's a little bit too, I don't know, that it comes out negative, and I'm sure that's why I'll say it comes out negative to me. It doesn't build me up, and I'm sure she doesn't mean it that way, but she'll say, like, you need to blah, blah, blah because you're a widow, you're alone. Okay. Since when is a widow is not criminal and alone is not deadly? So why do I need to hear that? Yeah. So you have to learn that if somebody is not building you up, then maybe you want a little space. It doesn't mean you won't be friends, but I have found that I just need to get away because it takes me to a place I don't want to go.
Yeah. Good for you. And in limiting exposure to those that might not be serving your growth. I think that goes at any time, but especially at this time. if there's one thing that you would like listeners to know about grief, what do you hope that it is?
Definitely what people say is true. Everybody's journey is different, and just be you. Do not judge yourself. Give yourself permission and grace, and let people help you. And you're going to get to the other side. And that's just why I would say you just need to do it your way, because it is the right way. And that's why I would say, and that's why I found, and it hurts to be judged when you're hurting.
I think one of the reasons you're doing so well is that you're not doing it alone. I think that's a big message.
Key. That is key. Widow does not mean alone. It just means that my husband does not live with me.
Yeah, physically.
Physically.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, and don't try to do anything alone. We are social, emotional creatures from the word go. Don't try to do anything alone.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people can be afraid, like they don't know what to say or do. And so they avoid the person who's grieving because of our own just uncomfort or lack of confidence in how to respond and what to do and what to say.
Yeah. And there's really nothing you can say other than, wow, just so sorry.
And I think we're just beginning. Well, maybe it's because I look at obituaries so much, but we're just beginning to honestly talk about how do you behave toward a grieving person. And it's because, number one, we're not particularly an empathetic society at all. Grievously, we need to think about that. But we definitely avoid and this was all in the books. There are not honest conversations about death, not even in churches, because we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that we don't know how to help somebody, or we don't know how to say what we need. But one thing I've learned, and of course, there have been times I didn't know what to say or do either, and now I'm thankful to know if you just say, I'm thinking of you and I'm so sorry for your loss. And then if you're sincere and you really are available to do something, then say, I want to do something for you. But really, that's just almost the most beautiful words. I'm thinking of you and your family, and we're so sorry for your loss. That just kind of says it all. And it's not trite at all. It just hits it.
Alli, if you had a wish for our listeners, what would it be?
Well, do something for someone instead of, because they may not know what they need. So if you have a friend or someone you care about and you want to help and you want to be there for them, just find a way to offer any little thing that would help take just the daily load off of them. And also, I don't remember if we mentioned it earlier in the episode, but Cindy was on the show on episode 90. So that would be my other wish, is people go and listen to episode 90, because Cindy just has so many nuggets of wisdom every time we talk to her. And so check that out.
Yeah, and my wish is, I mean, I wish I could say that people wouldn't go through grief, but grief is a part of life. And as you said, Cindy, everyone will grieve in their own way and accept it's fine. Your way is fine. You need what you need, and give yourself time. I really like that you said there is another side. You'll get through it. It just takes time.
Thanks for listening. You'll find me, Alli, on Instagram at Alli Kerr Fitness.
And you'll find me, Shawna, on Instagram at Shawna Kaminski. Feel free to pop us a DM with questions and or feedback. If you're enjoying the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, please subscribe and share it with other health-minded women. Ratings and reviews are also much appreciated and help us get our message out to a larger audience.
Until next time, be healthy and be happy.